So I was recently invited to do this online talk, and I quickly found myself trying to figure out where in this space I was going to set up my laptop so that I'd have a really nice background to work with. This gave me an idea for a topic to do for this week's video. So today we're gonna talk about how I set up these YouTube videos so that you could potentially turn any space in your house into Zoom ready, online call ready, YouTube ready backgrounds. Alright, so this space right here is our dining area, and during the day we use a 6-seater dining set here. Over at the back we got a tall bookshelf filled with books and other stuff. It's basically my things, and then beside it are 3 plastic containers, which I don't really like and too much of an eyesore for me. And right beside it is a fire extinguisher by the door and our shoe rack, or the or our designated delivery space where we basically dump everything before opening them up. So this is the look for the entire space here. And to be honest, it's not really looking background ready at all. It looks like any room you'd find in a condo or in your house. It's messy, it's boring, and the idea is we're gonna try and see what we can do to turn the space around to make them Zoom ready and YouTube background ready. Obviously, the first thing I did was to remove the dining table and chairs. I knew I wanted to use the bookshelf as part of the background because it's the only thing I really like most about in this area. It's got lots of stuff that tells a story about me. I got books on design and architecture, business and self-improvement. We got travel books, gadgets, and some toys. I know that I want to set up a chair in this area, but instead of sitting directly in front of the bookshelf, I'm gonna place myself a bit further away so that we can create a bit of separation between ourselves and the background. If you've got nothing but a wall behind you, just try and move away a bit further away from it to create that separation. Think of your background as like a supporting actor with you as the main cast in this video. Yes, they're equally as important, but they shouldn't really be taking away the attention from you. The next thing you're gonna want to do is to decide on your framing. Figuring out a good composition that focuses your viewer's attention to the most important or most interesting parts of your space is very important. And composition doesn't have to be very complicated. Applying some very basic principles like the rule of thirds or simply just centering yourself in the frame is a good start. While we're on the topic of creating separation between ourselves and the background, one of the most effective ways to do that is by using lenses that allow you to shoot at really wide apertures. I shoot my YouTube videos using my Sigma 16mm f1.4 or my Sony 35mm f1.8. How wide of an aperture your lens or camera is capable of will greatly affect how blurred or how much in focus your background is going to be. Considering that it's a bit messy behind me, I definitely want as much blur as possible to further create more of that depth and separation that we're looking for. Now, I'm not saying that these lenses are absolutely required or that you won't be able to do something like this without them, because there are other ways to do so. But if you do, it really gives you more of an advantage. Now, assuming that you've already set up your camera, the next thing you're going to want to work on is your lighting. Because you can have the most expensive camera in the world, the most expensive gear, most expensive lens, but if your lighting sucks, you can be sure that the video that you're gonna get out of it will also suck. Normally, rooms in our houses such as this one is lit by ceiling lights like this. But we don't want this. In order to get a better image, we're gonna start by turning everything off so that we have a blank canvas to work with. The first thing I set up is what's known as a key light. This light is usually the most important light that a photographer, cinematographer, or content creator uses, and it's essentially your main light. And I place it about 45 degrees to the side so that again it creates depth to my face. It also gives us nice soft shadows, a bit of drama, and it makes our videos look a little bit more interesting as well. I generally avoid placing the light directly in front of me because it makes your face look flat. Now I know a lot of people use ring lights, and ring lights are great because what they do is they give you this nice round catch light in your eyes and it makes your eyes look more interesting. But since I don't have one, I won't be able to test how well it works with this setup. But theoretically speaking, if I did have one, what I would do is place it right in behind this camera, right in front of me, and put it at the slowest settings just so my eyes would get that catch light, but I'd still maintain the Godox SL6CW right here as my main source or my key light. For my first few videos, I used this Yongnuo YN600 Air. It's a great light, fairly inexpensive, and it helped a lot in creating a more interesting lighting setup for my videos. But nowadays, I've been using this Godox SL60W light. It's big, bright, and it breathes a beautiful quality of light into my videos. It's a great alternative for something like the Aperture 120D, which a lot of YouTubers use. The problem is that light would easily have cost me around 40,000 and upwards. And this light costs just around 7,000 to 8,000 pesos, which I know isn't exactly cheap, but I wasn't ready to spend 40,000 pesos on lights just yet. And this one works really well, if not just as good as the Aperture 120D anyway. This setup is actually already really good, and you can get away with just using one light source, especially for these types of videos. But I want to see how much more we can make this space better. Now, I have glasses, and sometimes I wear it, but sometimes I don't. But when I do wear them, I usually end up having this glare, which I find to be distracting. And in order to get rid of that, I'm going to move my key light further to the side until the glare disappears. And now that the glare is gone, you'll also notice that my face now has more shadows. And because I have this Yongnuo YN600 Air, I have the luxury to place a secondary light on the other side of my face in order to help reduce that shadow. Now, when I set up my fill light over here, I don't want this to be as bright as my key light, because what ends up happening is you get this flat lighting profile, which isn't actually flattering at all. What you want to do is to tone down the brightness of this one, like this, so that you still maintain that depth, those nice shadows across your face, which makes your video look more interesting. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with how everything is looking right now. I'm happy with the setup, but I want to add one more light, and we're gonna add something that's called a rim light. A rim light is an additional light that lights up the edges of your face or your shoulders in order to clearly separate you from your background. Normally, it's a light placed on top of the frame and usually behind you to shine some light on your head, the neck, and sides of your face. But since I only have this ordinary table lamp, what I'm going to do is to set this behind me and shine some light on that wall right there. Sometimes I also like using the same lamp I would use for my rim light as the practical lighting in scenes like this. You may or may not do it like this, but personally I feel like it's hitting two birds with one stone. I get to have that rim lighting, that nice lighting around the edge, and that nice blurred lamp in the background as a practical light. Which brings me to my next point. Now, the next thing we can do to improve the background is to use practical lighting. These are lights that are seen visibly in the frame and form part of your background. I recently purchased this beautiful and cheap lamp from Xiaomi called the Xiaomi Candela, and I bought it for around 2,500 pesos because I thought it would be a great idea to use it as a practical light for my future setups. Practicals are a great way to make any space look more interesting, so investing in a really nice lamp or a nice light like this one is going to be a great idea. We've got a really nice setup going on here already. We got a key light, a fill light, a rim light or backlight behind us, some practicals, and the framing is good already. But I want to see, there's one more thing I really want to do to try and make this a little bit more fun and more interesting. I can try to replace the lighting behind me. I can change the color to this or maybe this. I can position it somewhere else, maybe light my face. I can do lots of things and just play around with this additional light. Anyways, you get the idea. Background is an important part of your setup. Whether it's for online calls or like a YouTube backdrop, the principles of lighting that we've discussed here are essentially the same. And you've got to remember that the underlying idea here is that you're trying to create as much separation as you can from yourself and the background so that your viewers' attention is always focused on you. My name is Justin Espejo, and I hope you've gotten a lot of value out of this video. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And as always, thanks for watching.